Chapter 7. The young man's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed nervously. Could it be because of the noodle's enticing aroma? Or is it because Xiaolan was remarkably beautiful? How could this shabby county have such a beauty? Her skin was so white it dazzled the onlookers, her eyes glistening with moisture, and her chin elegantly pointed. The blue top she wore, which was quite modest, appeared alluring, complemented by her generous bust. A circle white gauze rested on her forehead, with faint traces of blood visible, enhancing her allure. Observing her took delicate bites of noodles stirs a desire to be the noodles in that bowl. As Lu Fan wandered through the county today, she noticed many admiring glances. Initially attributing the attention to her worn clothing, she soon realized it was Xiaolan who captivated them. The vendor at the noodle stall tapped the bowl sharply, the young man back to reality. "Would you like some noodles?" Feeling slightly embarrassed, he handed the large lunchbox to the vendor, saying, "What do you mean? I was drawn in by the aroma of the noodles from a distance. I'd like 2 bowls, please pack them in the lunchbox for me." His speech, marked by a Beijing accent, indicated he was not from the area. Xiaolan frowned. While some individuals had cast furtive glances her way today, none were as direct and bold as this outsider. She was still accommodating to her new appearance. After years of being perceived as unattractive, it was easy to get her newfound beauty. It seemed that buying only a lock was not enough. She planned to buy a pair of scissors once they finished their meal. The large pot of bone broth simmered on the small stove, and the noodles were thin and delicate. The 2 bowls the outsider ordered were prepared swiftly. Hesitant to leave, he turned back every few steps after making his payment. Lu Fan sensed something was amiss and hurried through her meal. The 30-cent noodles were served in a large bowl, and she consumed all the broth, driven by her hunger. People in this era majorly still had clean stomach, and women could easily devour a pound of buns when they were starving. Xiaolan dragged Lu Fan to buy a knife again. She had thought about acquiring a kitchen knife. The stainless steel version, which was well made in Shanghai, was priced at 5 yuan. She knew it was a good product, but her money was not easy to spend, so she prepared to leave. Now that she thought about it, she could just buy a pair of scissors instead. That young man from out of town returned to the vehicle with 2 containers of noodles, but he accidentally spilled the broth. Inside the car was a male driver with a crook and a strong jawline, exuding a classic charm. "Look at what you have done." The man who had stepped off the car to get noodles voiced his frustration. "Brother Qingzi, I've never seen anyone as beautiful as her. I guarantee that if you meet her, you'll be left speechless." So many young women and wives roamed the streets of Beijing? Yet he had never encountered anyone more stunning than the one he had just seen. Her beauty did not stem from a commanding or heroic presence, but rather from a delicate and enchanting quality that seemed effortless, making her particularly appealing to men. "We had an agreement that I would guide you on this journey. Take in as much knowledge as you can. If you find learning difficult, you are free to go wherever you wish. Or do you want to stay in this town longer?" After they finished their meal, they continued their journey. 2 legs could not keep pace with 4 wheels. After traveling down 2 streets, they unexpectedly spotted Xiaolan and her daughter. "Brother Qingzi, look." The young man seated beside the driver was making a lot of noise. Brother Qingzi widened his eyes and caught a glimpse of a figure in the rearview mirror. The girl wore loose, oversized blue patched clothing that highlighted her slender silhouette. The skin visible behind her ears was strikingly pale. Yet, what difference did it make? After all, they all were just women who had 2 eyes and 1 mouth. Nothing special. The young man was filled with a profound sense of regret. "Well, it seems you are not meant to meet each other." Brother Qingzi remained largely unconcerned about the situation. The vehicle accelerated away from Anqing County, with a 2-day journey ahead to Shanghai. Long-distance travel was not only tiring but also filled with the danger of encountering robbers. How can one have time to appreciate beautiful girls? The crooked eyes of the outsider reminded Xiaolan to buy a large pair of scissors. Since she did not have a pot and could not afford one, so she chose an enamel pot as a substitute. This versatile item can be used for cooking, storage, and drinking, making it a great deal. By adding 2 sets of chopsticks, the initial price at 0.2 yuan is reduced to just 6 yuan. Xiaolan was hesitant to spend this amount. Wild duck eggs were scarce, and the duck nests in Dai village had already been exhausted. To make a profit from collecting duck eggs, she must travel to other villages, but with only both of them doing the work, would barely be enough. Xiaolan intended to enter the egg resale market. With an initial investment of 20 yuan, she would no longer need to navigate the reed marsh. Dai village was a 2-hour distance from the county town. Were there villages that were farther than Dai village? Walking 3 hours to the city to sell 10 eggs at 1.5 requires a total of 6 hours for the round trip. If she bought the eggs for 0.12 yuan each and sold at 0.15 yuan each, she could profit 30 cents each. Usually there were people who were willing to walk 6 hours to earn that extra 30 cents, but with the approaching grain harvest where even young children will be helping in the field, they would have no time to go to the county to sell eggs. If the eggs remain unsold for 2 weeks during the busy farming season, they would spoil in the heat of summer. Xiaolan is eager to seize this opportunity to make a profit. Earning a profit this small may appear trivial, but if she managed to sell 100 eggs each day, her total earnings could exceed 2 or 3 yuan. Excluding challenges posed by rainy days that hinder her travel to the city, she could still accumulate at least 70 yuan monthly. While this amount may not seem substantial, Xiaolan recalled an elderly customer from her previous life who mentioned earning 36 yuan a month while working at a county guesthouse in the 1980s. In 1983, those who became wealthy were often self-employed individuals who had started their businesses a few years prior, yet they concealed their wealth remarkably well, leaving many unaware of their financial status. The only individuals openly receiving high salaries were not those employed in civil service or public institutions. The phenomenon of limbs before brain was widespread, with intellectuals earning less than manual laborers, especially in heavy industries such as oil and coal mining, where many workers earned between 100 and 200 yuan monthly. In contrast, teachers at prestigious high schools earned only a few dozen yuan each month. Farmers, of course, had the lowest incomes. If Xiaolan could earn 70 yuan a month, the Xiao family would likely welcome her back with the reverence reserved for a respected figure. Carrying their belongings, the two began to travel the 2 hours' walk to reach Dai village. After placing their items back in the rundown house, with the new iron lock significantly enhanced her sense of security, they then proceeded to the cowshed to return old Wang's flashlight. Xiaolan felt some discomfort from the wound on her forehead, leading Lu Fen to recommend a visit to the clinic to change the bandage. Xiaolan knew tending to her injuries was important as she had been active and sweating, in fear that the wound might become infected. The cost of changing the bandage was minimal, with the main focus on disinfecting the wound. The doctor upheld medical ethics, different from those woman-spreading rumors, as he meticulously assessed Xiaolan's injury. "There's no need to worry, it's healing well, and it seems unlikely to leave any scars." Xiaolan felt relief. "Thank you for your help." As they left the clinic station, Lu Fen pulled at Xiaolan's sleeve. "Is that your uncle?" At the village entrance, the Xiao family was involved in a heated argument with a short man confronting old lady Xia. "Your Xiao family is so evil-hearted that you pushed my sister and my niece to death. If you do not hand them over, I will destroy your family."